Hey TD Superheroes, my name is Alan Perez, your psychic, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at connecting the mouth open to the controller because it doesn't open the mouth, so we'll want to be able to have access to that. And then we're also going to clean up our outliner because we're pretty close to the end of setting this up. So we'll start doing that as well. All right, so let's expand this, let's make this bigger, and we'll only look at the code for right now. I want to go to where we're working on the rig here. So we need to get a point where we are accessing the mouth, and we get the mouth control, and we can do the blend shape. So like with the eye, we did that as well with the rotations here. Unfortunately with this and the other element, the mouth, it's going to happen each time. So it might be worth it to do kind of beforehand instead. So I think I'm going to add that here before the for loop. So what am I going to need to be able to run this? It's going to be the attach blend. That's kind of how we wrote it, but it's not necessarily the attach blend. So let's copy this really quick and I'll put it over here. So the right eye geo is a variable that was created. Let's see, are we getting it from up here? Yep, we are. So we're also going to need to get access to the name of the joint. So let's add that as a variable up here as well for the jaw joint. So we have the code up here that lets us get the jaw joint here. So it is going to be the jaw joint underscore, so jaw underscore joint underscore field that we're going to need access to. And we're here. So, and we need to remove those strings. And this is going to be our jaw joint. We can copy this and paste it inside of here. And then the control name is something that we have a preset for, which is going to be our mouth control. On the jaw joint, it is going to be a rotate. Let's make sure it is the correct rotation. So it's going to be rotate Z. And we're going to want to be able to go to, I don't know, something like 35. Okay, so we're going to go to 35. We are going -1, and this is rotate Z. So that should attach the mouth. So let us run this. That way it only runs once. It doesn't have to run a whole bunch of times. We're going to clear the scene. It should clear our face rig. Then create face skeleton, create rig, and let's see if it works. So it does, it's just the weights aren't set up, so I did add that bonus tool we talked about. So let's go in and add the weights, and we'll assign weights based off of that, and then let's see. We do get the mouth movement, and that looks good. And now all we have to do is organize our outliner. So at this point, we have, and if you guys want for the eye geo, you can actually kind of update all that and put it over here so that it doesn't loop several times each time it goes into the eye, but I'll let you guys do that on your own. For right now, I'm just going to do it here individually. And it might be good to do it here in case you don't have a blend shape. You can still move the eyeball. So I just need to create some groups, and right here all we're doing is doing blend shapes, so we can do the groups. I'm going to create a function that's going to be final groups. Okay, define final groups, and we need to be able to get elements that we have inside of the outliner. So let's go up here. So I know I need all of the geometry. So I'm going to copy that just so that I have the names and put it into our final groups code here. We're not going to actually run it that way, but we're going to use that to get the groups. So that should be all of the geometry. Actually, we're going to get these. That's fine. We can get those separately. We need the joint, we need the brows, the hair, and then we need the controller, and we need these things. So we don't actually need everything. So let's go over here, and we have that. So we need the head, we need the hair front, the hair base, the brows we need, and then all of these items we do not need. We'll get it in a different way. Okay, so this is going to be our base head. mc.base head, or sorry, let's create a variable. Base head is equal to mc.field text field. There we go. Underscore field. And then we're going to say query equals true. And text equals true. So that gives us the base head, and then I'm going to copy this, paste it, and paste it for the other two. So we're going to need the hair front field, the base hair field, and we actually need one more. So let's copy that, paste it, and we need the brows. Okay, we have all of those. We just need to set individual variables. So this is going to be hair front, base hair, and brows. Okay, so we have all of those variables, and then we're going to need all of these items and the joint. So we need one more here. Let's copy this, and this is going to be our joints. And let's look at what we called that one. So we're just going to need the base joint, and that's going to go right here. Okay, so now we need to get these elements here, and we have the base. So we're going to say mc.sl equals, or create a variable, sorry, select equals mc.select base. Oh, sorry, that's going to be the name of the head here. So let's take that, and we're going to say that it is going to be an F string, and then we need the base head, and then it's going to be B star. So that's going to get the base head plus anything that is base. So that way we can get that, and we can write base, and that should give us both the base and the base one, because we have two, but we might have more depending on what the user does. And then let's do mc.ls. We gotta create this as a variable. We're gonna say deformers, or we'll just call it deformers equals mc.ls, sl equals true. Okay, so now we have these two. We have the base head, we have this geo. We're going to do a similar thing here for our, oops, I didn't want to do that. At least we know we don't have a syntax error. Paste it here. So we're going to select anything. We don't need a variable this time, but we need the 0 grp. So we're going to say star underscore 0 underscore grp. And this is going to be our geo groups. And essentially all that should be geometry. Okay, so that gives us these. All we need is the transformer. And we have that here. We're going to get the character name field. So let's paste this here. And let's get another variable here. So paste that there. And then this is going to be what we use for this part. Character name field query. This is going to be ctrls. And then we're going to do mc.select ctrls. We'll do this as an f string. We've got that, and then let's go with ctrls. And then it's underscore ctrl underscore transformer. So that should give us this item. Actually, since we know that we don't need to necessarily make it a select. We can just reassign it. We don't have to select it and then search for anything. We can just do ctrls is equal to ctrls transformer, control transformer. Okay, and I think that's me pasting things in there on accident. Okay, so we have that controller there. Now we can start grouping things. So let's do a group, or mc.group. And we're going to group the base head, the hair front, the base hair, the brows, and then geo group. And then let's assign a name this. We're going to call it geo. And we'll call this group geo is equal to, and let's put this character name, because then we can use that later in a moment. Okay, so we have a group for the geometry. Then we can do controls is equal to mc.group ctrls. We only have one thing that we're got in the groups right now, so we're going to leave that be like that, but it's part of the organization. Then we're going to do joints, so do ts grp is equal to mc.group ts, and then we'll say, and both of these we have to set controls or names. So let's do name equals ctrls and name equals joints. And then Once we have that within our group, let's see, we need extras, just kind of like other stuff. In this case, we have our deformers that are going to go there, and we will call this extras. And then after we've created all those groups, let's create a character group, and this is going to be our all of these groups in here. So it's going to be mc.group, and then we are going to put the geo ctrls jntsgrp and extras. Okay, I think we have that pretty close to proper. So let's clear the scene, create face skeleton, create rig. It looks like we're loading the files, so everything worked in the group file. We have a group here. We have all of these things. We need a name for that group. That's the only thing. So I'm going to clear the scene. Obviously the clear scene did not work as good as we wanted. It's actually pretty close though. Oops. So we're going to have to tweak that as well. So let's go into the code here for the name. It's going to be equal to our character name. Okay, and then search for a clear scene. Okay, so we have the clear scene here, and basically what we want to do is ungroup the base head. And do we have a function that would do this? It's if exists, delete history. If it exists, delete history. If it exists, delete history. If it exists, delete. If it exists, delete. If it exists, zero offshoot group. So let's just take the base head, all the three geometries. So let's run this, and oh, I already did it. So let's go here, and that way we can see what are the leftover things that we need to clean up. So we can see that it leaves us a really nice setup there. We have this, so we need to delete the TD superheroes group, and we need to unparent these geometries here. So we have the browse, and I'm going to do it right after we reset selection. So we're going to say mc.parent, and we're going to say base head, and then we want base, let's get rid of that, not base, but base here, and front here. It's going to be parented world equals true. So we're parenting it to the world, so that way we get rid of it. And then we also want to go here and say we need the character name, which we do not have yet, I believe. We do. We have this. So let's break this up into a couple different options. So we're going to say character name is equal to this. And then let's rename this function here. This is going to be equals an f string of character name, and I'm going to make sure it matches there. So we get the field, then we're going to use that to get the controls. We also have the character name. So then we're going to basically copy this and paste it here. And if character name exists, we don't need any of that because there should only be one at this point. So if it exists, we're going to delete character name. Actually, it already does that. So let's move that over and delete that. And actually, we can move it above this because those are not part of, no, it is part of it. Okay, so let's run this and let's see if we clear the scene properly. There we go. And let's create the rig and make sure that everything is correct. And it is not. So let's undo. We can see that the brows are gone. So we have the geometry here. It looks like maybe when we parent to the world, it didn't like doing them all at once. So let's separate this. We're going to copy this 2 more times. And then we have the base head. Then here we're going to have the base hair. Oh, it did work. It's just that we didn't add the brows. Okay, so let's just add brows. That's easy. Brows, comma. There we go. Let's run this and let's clear the scene. Oh, because it already was. Let's create the skeleton, create the rig, and then we'll test it with the full rig now. Clear the scene. It looks like we have everything still there. Everything's cleared. And let's do it one more time, just to make sure we have everything and that we don't error out. And it looks like it's working. That is great. So we have that, and maybe the only thing that we want to do now is when we got the final groups here, let's take the joints group that we created and turn the visibility off. So it's going to be mc.set adder. I think it's going to be jntsgrp, and then we're going to say .v. I think it's the visibility. Let's make that an f string. F, open curly bracket, then close curly bracket, .v, and we're going to set this to false. Okay, so let's clear the scene and then create face skeleton, create rig, and now we have a fully functional rig ready to animate, except that I didn't connect the base weights, so I can assign the default here. There we go, and then go to our bonus tools, and we can assign weights based off bonus, and now we have that working. So we have all of the blend shapes. It looks like at some point I deformed the lips, but that can be fixed. You can see there's a little bit of jittering. We can actually show it here. So I just have to use the match points to fix the geometry, but the rig is working completely the way we would expect it. So let's do a demo just so that we have a completely working rig, and we would have tested every single element on this rig here, or this tool. So you can see how messed up the mouth is here. So let's raise the brow here. Let's duplicate the head. And then if we want, we can clear the scene. Do we have that duplicated head? We don't. So I'm going to do it before we do that. So if we look at the, oops, here, let's collapse everything again. And then with the head selected, we can go here. So we have the head base and the head base 1. So let's put this back to 0. And then we are going to, with the head geo selected, go to vertices. It looks like I was recently fixing this on this file, so we can take the mouth here, which has all the weird points that are working, and then the base head. We can test that last bonus tool. It fixes it. Now that we have that, let's clear the scene And if we look here, our geometry should look a little bit better. Let us go in and now create the skeleton, create the rig, and everything hopefully should be working properly. And it is not, so let us take a look at doing this one more time just so that we can see how it will work. So here, I'm going to go to the base head. I'm going to get that deformer and duplicate it. And then let's rename this my geo. I'm going to make it outside of the group. And then we can zero out this controller. And then now let's clear the scene. We should still have my geo here, and we should have the base head. So let's go into vertex for the base head and select that geometry. Then select the other geometry, bonus tool, match points. We have that fixed now. We can delete my geo, and then now go back and auto rig everything. So create space skeleton, create rig. Okay, moment of truth. So there's a tiny bit. I might have selected those. Oh, nope. From this angle we can see. Here we don't see it as much. Over here we see it more. Oops. So let's get it from a different shape. So I'm going to take the, let's say, the eye, duplicate that shape, Shift P to unparent it. This is going to be my geo. Then let's clear the scene. And then we still have my geo, which is going to be different. You can see that it is different on the mouth there. Base head, vertex. We have that vertex selection there. And then select the head, match points. And then we can delete this here. Okay. I'm going to save my scene here. And let's connect the rig. Okay. Nope, we're getting some shifting. Let's just delete. Actually, we have a shape here. Let's clear the scene. I'm going to pause and get it to work. We do have a shape there that will be useful for us. I'll be right back. Okay, so I fixed it. It was basically kind of double translated, so I had to do the same operation twice. I don't know how it got to that point, but now if we look at the rig, it is not affecting the ellipse. So we should have a good rig. So I just did this same tool. The tool was working. It was just I had to do it twice because I had layered that damage onto the mesh twice, and then that ended up fixing it. So, oh, and I need to put the weights back on. Oh, look at, that's where the damage is happening. So after I added the weights, we can see that it is shifted a little bit. So because it is shifted, let's go back in and go to defaults here, and I'm going to put this back at 0. And then let's see if we get that damage once we clear the scene. Yeah, you can see that's where the damage is happening once we connect the weights. So if we go back to the default right here, and we've assigned the weights from that weight file that I created, it offsets it. Let's see if we edit, edit delete by type history. If we keep that deformation, we do. So let's see if I undo that, we have the skin cluster here. Let's turn the envelope off. So I'm going to add that into the clean scene. So that way I can make sure that I don't get that transformation. So I need to paint better weights, basically. That's being damaged by the weights. So I want to make sure that we can't damage our mesh before we clear everything, to take the envelope and set it to 0. So let's look at the, let's look at the code for that. So let's go to clear scene and let's look at both. So if we go down here, we can see that's the attribute. So we're going to basically need that inside of our clean scene, clear scene. Okay, so I'm going to reset controls, and then here we're going to do mc.set adder. I'm going to use an f string, and we're going to get the base head variable, and then it is going to be underscore skin cluster envelope. Oops, got 2 of those. Okay, so that gets us the attribute, and then we need to tell it the value that we want it at. We want it at 0, and close parentheses, and let's run this now. Empty expression. Oh, I need to close this, and there, and there, and the base head should be inside of the brackets. There we go. Okay, that's the line that we want. And now, if we clear scene, we have a runtime error in line 105, which is what we did. So let's look at the command there. So we have the head, we have the cluster, and then let's set that to 0. We got the naming a little bit wrong. So base head geo underscore skin cluster envelope. So I'm going to just copy this and paste it here so that I can compare them side by side. I can't tell where our typo is. Oops. Okay, so we have base head geo skin cluster envelope. And the error that we got was, I ran the code again. Well, I don't see anything different between the two. Oh, I see. I see my problem. I need to make sure that I do that and that we're setting it to the value there. Okay, now let's try running it and let's clear the scene. And in theory, we should have a clean lip here. All right, so one last time, create skeleton, create rig, and it has created everything. Right now we don't have the weights, but we can look that we're having all of that working properly. We can assign the weights based off of my defaults. I need to set that to default and then assign weight. You can see that shifts it, but it doesn't cause an issue because it is on the deformer stack. So it's not creating a jitter. The only issue is that he has a little bit of bump in his lip, but at some point I'll go through and paint better weights. So that way we don't have that issue on the lip, but now we know that could potentially be an issue. So we've cleared that as a potential thing that we need to fix in the future. So we make our clear scene a little bit better. All right. So that is it for our head rig. We are done. It's very exciting. We will see you guys in the next video.